Hello everyone, I'm here today with a flip-through video and I'm going to be showing the first half of my Milwaukee album. So as you can see, this is a 6x8. It's actually in an album with other things. So this is something else. It's my Colorado stuff. So Milwaukee starts here. And my opening page has some fun letters. I think these were from Felicity Jane. And this was part of an old Allie Edwards acetate piece. I think it was the 2020 travel release. And I had used the bottom part for something else. I don't remember what. And I had this left. So I used that. And then just really it's a lot of stickers and like a digital file that I printed. So nothing too crazy here. I wanted it to be simple but yet bold. And I think that's what I ended up with here. And then I had pictures from the station and I freaking loved this paper. And it just worked out that I had this card that was a really, really close match to it. Now, both of these I would normally find very hard to use, just, on a traditional layout. But because of this, it really worked here, like that bright orange and yellow. It actually worked. And so I just really lucked out with that. And then I had a nice journaling card that also matched. So that was very lucky as well. On the next layout, I just showed the inside of the train and then the station when we finally got to Milwaukee. This was my husband's first time on an Amtrak train, and so it was a fun journey. It was way later than it was supposed to be. We were supposed to leave about 9 in the morning. We left at 4 p.m. because there were a bunch of issues that happened with the train before it got to us. But we got there, and so it's very late at night. Now, luckily, we hadn't made any plans, so we kind of just took our bags, went to our Airbnb, and that was it for the night. But it's fine. And then over here, this was the inside. This is the lobby of where we stayed. It was so freaking beautiful. It was more than I anticipated. Of course, when you book stuff online, you can kind of, see what it is, but you never really know until you get there. And this just, it exceeded my expectations. And then I put in a little flip here. And so I journaled about liking that, and just some stickers and phrase labels here. Like, again, nothing too crazy. I was really trying to make an effort here to keep this as flat as possible because I have 3 events that are all going into this album. I can't use a ton of bulky stuff. Some is fine, but I can't be doing that at every page or I'm going to get myself in trouble and the album won't close. So then I wanted to focus on some photos of where we stayed because I loved it. It was such a good pick for us. And yeah, the building was called the Knickerbocker. So that's why there's this big K there. And then this was the inside of our condo. And it was just perfect for what we needed. And it was very blue, gray, black, white. And so I tried to stick with that in terms of what I included. And look at these awesome letters. I believe these are from Citrus Twist, but the fact that they're blue with little black dots, I mean, that's just perfection. I couldn't have asked for anything better. And I loved being able to layer those over what was already on the card. I love the look of that. It gives it some nice texture, a little bit of 3D to it. And then that's really all it needed. So that was kind of it for that. This was actually in the morning. You can kind of tell the light is better here. So we had the evening and then this was early morning. Then we decided to have kind of a late breakfast and we were winging a lot of stuff. We hadn't really looked at restaurants beforehand or anything. So we just, basically pulled over on our phones, looked at what was close on our phone map and then chose from there. And we just got lucky that there was a Fairgrounds coffee and tea. I think it was within 2 blocks, maybe 2.5. So I actually stayed back and just relaxed in the condo. And my husband went out and got this. And so we got coffee and breakfast sandwiches. So bagels and a sandwich there with some wonderful sausage. And it was a really nice treat. This is way more than what we would normally eat for breakfast. Neither of us are big breakfast people. If we're going to eat breakfast, we actually tend to have breakfast for dinner if we're going to do it. Or maybe we would do a brunch. but we just don't normally eat this big for breakfast. So this was definitely a really nice treat. And I loved that I got to use my wood veneer on this card because I've been hoarding those suckers for a while, and I finally found something that I could use them with, which was great. And then I had this card, which was also perfect. And because of the little pops of yellow in there, I was able to use this as well. So once our breakfast was done and we were ready to go out in the city, I had planned to go to the art museum because in all the times I've gone to Milwaukee, I never went to the museum, which is weird for me because I'm such a big art person, but it's because we always were like seeing our friend, and so we had other things to do, so we never went there. But this time I said, I'm going there first thing. So I went off and did this. My husband went off and did his own thing. So this was just for me, and I highly enjoyed it. And I didn't realize on the inside, like, quite how modern this museum was. So it was very different from what I anticipated. And you can kind of see that here in the architecture. It was still cool. It was just a nice surprise for me because I didn't know that's what I was going to get. So I wanted to feature those photos, and I happened to have these sayings first time at the museum, and then wander through the halls, and those I thought just worked great with this. And then when I actually moved into looking at the art, I had found this piece that I just thought was super cool, so I wanted to showcase that, and then did some sequins, and these sequins had to match this and the next layout since you can see through it, and it worked out well because this piece of art matched fairly well with what I had going, and then with the Chihuly piece over here. So I really tried to blend all those colors and make them work together. And then I just stuck with a neutral here for the picture perfect. And then here I found this deep blue card with hearts on it because Chihuly is my favorite living artist. I do love his work. So it was very fitting. And then I just added a little piece of ephemera there, little strip of washi. That's it. So it didn't have to be crazy, and really didn't want it to be because the focus should be this, right? I mean, this is gorgeous. I don't need something else here that's going to distract from that. Then I have more museum pics, and the same thing here. I kept this very simple, and it was very black, white, gray. And I didn't want to use more of that. That's all neutral. It needed some kind of pop of color. And I had a tough time deciding what I was going to do, but then these greens just kind of jumped out at me. So I thought, well, I don't know what else I'm going to use them for. I might as well use them here. And it came together nicely. And then on this 3x8 insert, I really wanted to showcase this Impressionist painting. That's probably my not probably. It is my favorite genre of older art. And so I wanted to showcase that because look at the coloring in there. It's just beautiful. And so I wanted to pull out the yellow in the back, which I did, pull out the blue with the washi, and it worked out that this had blue printing already on it. And then this is the only embellishment really that I added. Super easy. I didn't even have to think that hard. It was just there. And then on this side, a similar thing. This ticket took up the majority of this insert. So I really didn't have to think too much about, well, what's going to go behind there? So I found this pocket card that I already had in 3x8. All I did was stamp that on there, which was perfect. I have several sets that include museum things now, which is great because I go to a lot of museums when I travel. And then I just stuck this little die cut camera on there. That was a digital file that I cut out, super easy. And similar over here. Again, very, very easy because look how ornate these buildings are. I don't need to do anything else with those. So all I did was slap on this little arrow here, and really I just tried to match the colors that were in that insert so they wouldn't clash. So pink works, and that was it for that one. And then on the next side, or the back side here, these were different pieces of art and murals that were just randomly around town. As we were exploring the city that morning, we just came across them. So this was actually really close to where we stayed, and so I saw that one right away. The rest of these murals were all downtown. And then on this one, because of the angle of how we took the photo, I thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting to kind of cut off just the blank windows that were above it that were boring and keep that angle? And I was nervous about it at first because that's not something I do a lot, but I really like it here. I think it adds to the art and the very angular look to the art itself. To have this angled sort of oddly feels fitting. And so I kept that. And again, not a lot to do here. I did some stamping, puffy dots. I already had this phrase from a set that I had, so that was easy. I had this that just happened to match the dress here and just stamped in it. That's it. So again, I love the way it looks, but it's very, very simple. I'm not doing anything that's earth-shattering here. And then after we were done there, we were trying to figure out, well, what do we have time to do? How far do we want to go? We decided this is when we were going to do the domes. And it's quite a ways west from downtown. So we knew we were going to have to take a bus to get there and it was going to take a while. And so we thought we might as well do it now, somewhat earlier in the day before it gets too late. And then maybe we'd go, oh, now we don't want to go. And I think they closed at 4 or 5, maybe, on this day. So we wanted to make sure we got there. So we went there next, and these were pretty simple to put together too, just some pattern paper behind here. I didn't do anything to this card except my journaling. That all came like that. And then here was just using the circle with a punched heart. I have a mini star punch and I used that. That's it. I mean, really simple. And then over here, this was a brochure. All I did was take the front page off of it. Didn't need the rest of what was there, but I loved the front of it, so I used that. And then I actually used the back to start the next layout because I'm trying to keep things fairly trimmed down, not too bulky. So I wanted to be able to use the back without adding another page. So I just took one of the photos from this set that I wanted, put it right on there, just placed it strategically, and it was good to go. And then this is the last layout in this first half of these. It's not the whole album, but this group of layouts. So this is the first half of what I think I'm going to have. And we started in the desert dome. And so I wanted to showcase those because theirs is very well done. I've been in some where they're like, eh. And I know some people, this is not a type of landscape that they like. For me, I grew up in the southern Colorado desert. So for me, like, this is all fine and I enjoy it. And I wanted to showcase it. So again, though, all I did here was a simple phrase label. This card came like that. All I did was stamp the landscape on there. And then I had this embellishment at the ready. I had dropped it in the bin because I knew that I had seen desert stuff. And so I thought it might work here. Did some ink splattering. That's it. So this isn't rocket science, but I'm so, so happy with how these layouts are turning out so far. And that's it for part 1. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you'll stick with me as I move to all of the layouts that will come in the second half of this. So, thanks for watching.